Good evening, everybody. My name is Greg Araceli, and I'm one of the school counselors. First of all, we've been told that when we're up here presenting, we're permitted to take off our masks. So I hope I'm not offending anybody in doing that. I'm not trying to, make a statement here. Some of you know and met Mrs. Kretz. Christine Kretz is also a school counselor. She'll also present. I also want to thank Mr. Giangreco. Michael Giangreco works on our IT department. He came in here tonight and helped us set this up. Our presentation tonight is on what you need to know about the college application process. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we went through this presentation with all of our junior students, and the way we did it, we broke it up. So I was actually in the theater with all of my students, and every counselor had all of their juniors in a room and presented really basically the same presentation. And we just felt like it's easier to break it up and do it in smaller groups. And I just had my students, and each counselor had their own students. And what we presented then is exactly what we will be presenting tonight. Our goal tonight, I'm not going to read through everything here, but basically our goal tonight is to let you know what we do in the college application process, what the students need to be doing, and what you as parents need to be doing. So what we do is we just finished having individual meetings with our students on scheduling, set up their senior schedule. And what I do after I'm done speaking to them about their schedule are, these are the classes you're going to take, and we talk about electives and so forth, and making sure they have all the classes that they need for planning for college and what courses they might need for college. When they're done with that, I talk to them about the college application process, the presentation that I went through, and just kind of review some of the things. And what I told my students is, at any time now, when they go into Naviance, which is the software program that we use, you're going to have questions. Just come in and see me. Send me an email. For the presentation that we gave back then and what we give tonight, you're not going to remember all of the things. And I have different attachments that we're going to send to you tomorrow. So I have instruction sheets that I prepared for my students. I emailed them to my students right after my presentation, and I basically told them this. You're not going to remember what I just told you. You're not going to remember everything. You're going to want, maybe during the Easter break, you want to go into Naviance and play around with it and just start listing schools that you think you might be interested in. And you're not quite sure how to do it. Well, I have an instruction sheet, and I emailed it to them. So I just said, go in, check your school email, look for emails that I sent, and all of the instruction forms that I'm going to go over tonight are in there. We're going to email them to all the parents, I believe tomorrow morning, all junior parents and all junior students. So, and again, our students come into our office whenever they want. So, email us, come in, see us. I have a quick question, or I need to sit down and have a longer meeting. Basically, so I think the easiest way for me to do this is to start with how Naviance works. And it's really very simple. The students are going to enter colleges that they're interested in applying to, and later on, I have it highlighted, they're going to match the Common App with Naviance. Mrs. Kretz is going to explain what the Common App is, but basically, it's an application that is accepted by, I think, 800 or 900 colleges, but not every college. So if a student is applying to 8 colleges and 6 of them take the Common App, then you fill out one application for those 6 schools, and then Rutgers does not accept it. You fill out the Rutgers application, and whatever other school doesn't accept it. So that's what the Common App is. The Common App is not a part of Naviance, so the students have to match that. It's really simple, and I have an instruction sheet on how to do it. But they won't do that until September when they start applying to colleges. But basically what the students do is they take formulate a list of colleges that they're interested in, and they put that into their Naviance account, which we have access to then. They will talk to 2 teachers and ask for letters of recommendations from those teachers. And those teachers will then type up their recommendation. There's a form that they have to complete in addition to that, and the teachers upload that to Naviance. And then the counselors and Ms. Peltek in our office will upload the transcript. Each counselor writes a letter of recommendation for our students. There's Common App forms that we have to fill out. There's National Counselor forms that we have to fill out. But basically, all the forms and letters and transcript that we have to fill out, we put into Naviance. So everything is in Naviance. And once that's done and the student has completed their application, they'll come in and say, I'm ready to send my application. We have them fill out a form in our office. And then basically, I just click on the schools and press send, and everything gets sent out. All right, the information the students have provided for us, the teacher letters, and their evaluation form, and transcript, and letters, and everything that we've prepared. Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, we could do that. I speak with your counsel. I had a student that had to do, it was a special program, physical therapy program that he had to get into, and we did everything. This student was done applying to schools in August, so we could do that. Okay. I would just contact your counselor. Yes. Yeah, the question was, if the student has to apply to a school that wants all the information in by August 1st or whatever date, we could do that. Just, parents should just contact the counselor and expedite that process. Okay. Sure. Coalition. No, because the coalition doesn't accept Naviance, so we do, and Ms. Kretz will cover that. That's part of what we'll do. All right, so this is one of my forms that I pass out to my students. It's instructions on how to use Naviance. And there's so many things in Naviance, but basically, this is where you would start if you were a student. Enter colleges that I'm thinking about, okay? And I'm going to do that right now. Give me a second, please. We will do that, yeah. Okay, so this is what the student page looks like, and we've created Joe Spartan. That's our sample student that we use. So this is what the page will look like when the students log in. And going back to that form I just showed you, which you'll have tomorrow, the first thing a student would do is click on colleges I'm thinking about. So I've added some colleges in here. And if you notice the first thing right here, CA, all of these colleges are Common App schools. They accept the Common App. Rutgers does not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of my 7 colleges accept the Common App. So I basically have to do 2 applications. One application in the Common App that I send out to all of those schools, and then the Rutgers one. All right. So students just go in and they can add schools. All right. Up here, add colleges to the list, and then click on the box here if they're ready, if that was a school that they were interested in, move it to the application list. That means they're going to apply to that school. All right, and then we would go to colleges I'm applying to, and as a student, a sample student, I said right now I know that I'm applying to University of Connecticut in Seton Hall. You'll notice the big red, pink line up front. It says, looks like you haven't matched the Common App with Naviance. Again, it's a sample student, number 1. Number 2, this will happen in September. Once your child creates a Common App account, they will go through steps that I'll show you, and it's click, 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 and then Common App and Naviance will be matched because they're two different things. But basically, what I did here was listed schools that I was thinking about, and then I took Seton Hall and Connecticut and moved them to the application list. Okay, there's a couple things here that are really very good, and they're kind of hard to find. So compare me and overlap colleges, I put them in red because I really think they're good. So let's go to the University of Delaware. Now I'm going to get specific information about Delaware. I know as parents, and I'm a parent of two college grads, they're long graduated, but I know the first thing we're looking at is this. And tuition is $11,000, but of course, when you click on this, the higher the income, the higher the average tuition and whatever. But 68% of the students graduate in 4 years. 67% of the students that apply to Delaware get accepted. Overlaps, that was one of the things I had highlighted in red. There are 10 overlap colleges. I really think this is good. These are colleges here, Rutgers, Penn State, Seton Hall, Scranton, that I think it's a 2-year look-back period of Immaculata students from the past 2 grades. In a 2-year look-back period, students from Immaculata that have applied to Delaware, many of them have also applied to Rutgers, Penn State, Seton Hall, Scranton, and so forth. So sometimes, like, I know I'm going to apply to Delaware, and I click on overlap schools, and I'm like, wow, I didn't think about James Madison or Quinnipiac or Scranton or whatever. So it kind of, maybe I'll look into that school. That might be a school that's also a good fit. Many of former students have done that.
Oh, God. Ooh. Fancy. On this app, will it give you, once you go to apply, I'm assuming that you would put in your credit card to pay for the application fee?
Yeah.
The Common App, okay. I just wasn't sure if it was all linked to.
Naviance do talk to each other,
Okay.
so we'll know. Excuse me. The Common App does talk to Naviance, so that's why we prefer you to use Common App, although I'll get into it, but certainly Coalition, many of our students use. But that's how we can track that you've applied. So I always say to the kids, they think they applied, and I say, did you enter your credit card number in the Common App? And if they say no, or I don't remember, that may mean they did not apply. So
Okay.
You don't know you're done until you put
do
that
it.
credit card
Or
number.
you can enter the code for, like, when you go and they give you the free code.
The
Okay,
code, yeah,
gotcha.
the fee waiver code.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you.
You know what, I think, unless there's something like really that I'm not clear on, maybe we should do all questions at the end. Let's go through the presentation. I'm back to Delaware again, and there's more information. I go to studies. There's a ratio of 12 to 1 students to professors, average class size. 92% of the students who attend Delaware as freshmen return as sophomores. It's job placement, 73%. So there's all kinds of things. Student life, it's in the nearest city is Wilmington. It's considered a very large school, 84 miles from Immaculata. They have admissions and so forth. Application deadline, November 1st. So that was all colleges I'm thinking about. Okay, and I went in and looked at all, looked at Delaware and got all the information that I wanted to from University of Delaware. Okay, so that was my college list, and then I went and showed you the overlap schools. Compare me, again, I'll go back to this form. This is my instruction form that I sent out, all right? Compare me is what I'm gonna do now, all right? This provides you with academic requirements for the colleges that you're applying to. So I have a list of my colleges. And I'm not sure why it's not coming up. All right. I'm not sure why it's not working, but basically when you click on Compare Me, we have the student GPA and SAT scores in there. And you'll see what your child has, and you'll see what the requirements are for each school. I'm going to come back and figure that out when Ms. Kretz is speaking, and I'll come back to that. And then last thing I'll show you is requesting a letter of recommendation in Naviance. This is not done until September. We tell students by May 1st they should approach 2 teachers that they have had this year or previously and ask them to write a letter of recommendation. The teachers then need to receive an invite from Naviance from your child. So I'll go to the college's homepage, and it's real simple, letters of recommendation. Michael, I might need help. Let me try it again. Okay, so basically I want to add a request by a teacher. I'll go to the pull-down menu. We have a list of every teacher in the building. Just click on a teacher's name, submit the request, generates an email to the teacher. Joe Smith has requested a letter of recommendation. The teacher then types a letter of recommendation, adds a recommendation form, and uploads it to Naviance. That was this section that I showed you earlier. All right, teachers upload their recommendations. So students, by May 1st, will talk to 2 teachers, ask them for a letter. Once the teacher agrees to that, sometime in September when we come in, we'll meet with each of our seniors, talk to them, review the college application process. Don't forget to go into Naviance and ask teachers for a recommendation. I just showed you how they do it. We'll review that again with the students. But again, anything that we talk about tonight that is real important is on this paper that the students and you will have. Okay, let me go to a couple of other things outside of Naviance. Okay, SAT and GPA requirements for colleges. I'm going to take you to collegeboard.org. Excuse me. Collegeboard.org is really the SAT website. So any student that takes the SAT has to create a College Board account. If they've taken the PSAT, they've also done that. So Again, this is the instruction sheet. Let me show it to you real quickly. I think this is the best way to do it. All right, so, I'm going to go to Seton Hall University. Again, this is the College Board site, and I'm going to go right here to applying, and that's, again, that's on the instruction sheet. And then I'm going to go right here to SATs. And the reading section, I don't know if you can see it, it's 580 to 660. The math is 570 to 670, and the students can do this. That whenever they score on their SATs, they just put it in. So I'm above on the reading, I'm a little behind on the math, I probably have to take the SATs again, okay? And then they can save this in their own thing. But that, to me, that's what I tell students is this: if they come in to give me a list of colleges and they're not within the SAT range, you should always have probably 2, maybe 3 reach schools. You should have probably 2 safety schools that you know you're probably going to get into, and then some that are, you may be in the range. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get in, but those are solid schools that you really have a very good opportunity of getting into. But if all the schools that you've applied to, if you're outside of the academic range, then you need to apply to several more schools that you're within the range, if that makes sense. And again, you go to the GPA. These are required classes. You know what I want to do? Gettysburg is real good. Let me do that. I just had a student in my office the other day, and we were talking about Gettysburg. And again, I'm just going to go to applying and GPA and academic requirements. So they require 4 years of English. Well, all of our students have that. They require 3 years of a foreign language, but in gray, they recommend a 4th year. They recommend a 4th year of everything: history, math, science. Not every senior takes a 4th year of math. Not every senior takes a 4th year of science or social studies, because it's not a state requirement, okay? So I told the student, I said, listen, if you want to go to Gettysburg, then your senior year, you need to be taking these classes. If they recommend it, and you want to go there, then I obviously, you need to really add that to your senior schedule. So that form here, SAT and GPA requirements, go to College Board, click on search, go to applying. I think it's a real good tool. Here's another thing I shared with the students a couple weeks ago. Free SAT prep, absolutely free. And we just go to the Immaculata website, Immaculata High School website, and you're going to go into Office of School Counseling. We're the guidance office. We've recently become the Office of School Counseling. Michael, I might need help. Hold on, let me try to do that again. I think I got it. 1 second. There we go. Thank you. Can't tell you the number of times I email or call Michael and ask for help. Right here, SAT assistance, okay? SAT practice tests. There are 10 SAT practice tests, completely free. Just click on it and the students can take it. You could do it sitting at a computer. My wife was formerly a math teacher, and she used to do SAT prep. And what she told her students to do, and a couple of my students have done it, and they said it worked, it was good for them. She says, download and print the pages and sit there with a timer and a pencil as though you're going to, because that's how you're going to be taking it in the classroom. But anyway, there's free SAT prep right there, and you'll find out the answers to the questions that you got wrong. You could also do this. Khan Academy is a website that all of our students basically use for free tutorial assistance. And what you can do is you can attach your SATs to Khan Academy. Khan Academy will say, these are the questions and problems that you got wrong. Here's some math problems perhaps that you could do to work on that will help you with the questions that you got wrong on the SAT. So free SAT prep. There's also, I think, an SAT question of the day. They could do it on their phones and so forth. But this form right here, all right, I talk to my students all the time about it. Have you taken the SATs? Well, I'm going to take it. And have you done? I know some of them have gone through SAT prep courses, and that's perfectly fine. That's great. Free SAT prep from collegeboard.org, which is the company that administers the SAT. Matching the Common App in Naviance. We talked about it. It's a long page here, but it's basically click, click, click. So once your child has created a Common App account, basically go into commonapp.org, create an account, put in user ID and password. When they're ready to apply in September, they have to match the two. That goes back to this first slide I showed you. All right, match the Common App and Naviance. They're two separate things. So how do you do it? You go into this page, and follow through, and then it's matched. And then anytime you have a Common App school and you fill out that Common App application, it gets sent, it gets uploaded to Naviance, and then we can send everything out. The last thing I wanted to show you is this program here, NJ Stars. I didn't share this with my students because they're probably not interested. And I think you might be. NJ Stars is a program that was started in New Jersey, and if you go to a community college, a New Jersey community college, RVCC, and you are in the top 15% of your class, all right, you will go there tuition free for 2 years, okay? That's why I didn't tell my students, because they're not interested. They want to go away and have fun and all that, and I understand, okay? I'm sharing it with you. Top 15%. Now, we don't rank students, but we can get that ranking. We do it for, like if a student is applying for a scholarship and they need to have their class ranked, we have that information. A lot of high schools do not rank students anymore. We do not rank, but we keep record of what the rank is. So when RVCC wants the class rank, we provide it for them. The other part of it is this. Let's say, and I actually had a student a couple years ago that went to RVCC as an NJ Stars student, graduated in 2 years, got an associate's degree, which made her eligible then for NJ Stars 2. She had to have a minimum GPA of 3.25 with a family income of less than $250,000, and now she's going to Rutgers for free. Okay, so as a parent with 2 kids who went to private school, who are in their 30s, and their parents are still paying part of that tuition, okay? My kids never would have gone for this, so I'm not up here, I'm just letting you know that it's available and it's out there. And when you look at the price of private school tuition, state college tuition and private school tuition, this might be helpful. Let me take us back to here, and Ms. Kretz, I'm going to get you to page 19, I believe. Oh, one last thing. I'm sorry, one last thing. NCAA, I'm not going to go, and a couple of these forms. Let's look at these forms. We gave these forms to your children. All right. Parent brag sheet. If they haven't given it to you yet, ask them for it. It was in the folder that we get, and we have the form. We could send it to you. Okay. So kids have to provide us with an activity sheet. They check off all the activities that they've done in high school and plan to do as seniors. That's the basis of our letter of recommendation. Like, I know my students, I've been here for, 5 years now, so I've known them since their freshman year, but I don't know everything about them. I don't know what they do in their community. I had a student one time put down, I'm a Boy Scout. I said, oh, that's great, I'll put that in the letter. I read the parent brag sheet, and he's an Eagle Scout, and he has 120 hours of community service. So that makes it's a little bit different, and parents like to brag, and that's what we ask you to do here. So, and again, you could fill out the form, you could scan it, send it to us, you could just type it up and send it. We don't need it on the blue form necessarily, but it's really something that helps us. Students can do a resume. I really ask them to fill out this activity profile where they just check off their activities. That's good enough for me. And then there's a teacher feedback form. They're going to give this to 2 teachers who are not writing letters of recommendation. So they're really going to speak to 4 teachers, 2 that write letters, 2 others that just fill out this form and give it to us. So as I'm writing the letter, I'm looking at what these teachers have said about that student. And then they'll give this request for a letter of recommendation. By May 1st, please, would you do a letter of recommendation? Teacher signs off on it. Then in September, they go into Naviance, as I showed you before, because a teacher says yes in May, in September, they need to get that email. So those forms, all the students have. Let me get to page 19. And then last thing, NCAA. I'm not going to go over it now, but if your child is a potential Division I athlete, I coach football here. I've coached for well over 40 years. I handle all the NCAA requirements for all students, regardless of sport, male, female, and so forth. So if your child is a potential Division I scholarship athlete, they have to register with the NCAA. There's a progression of things that they have to do where they match up their SAT scores with their GPA to become what they call a qualifying athlete. If your child fits into that category, please send me an email. Have them come see me. I'll get them started on that. I'll mail you out the NCAA packet. Ms. Kretz will finish up, and then we'll take questions at the end. I think right beyond that.
Okay, thank you. How do I get to the next page? Wait, come back here. Greg, how do I get to the next page on this? And then once you showed mail, I'll know. Just hit enter?
I just roll down one, that
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Roll. Yeah, just roll.
Oh, I see it, okay. Right there. Thank you. So, I'm talking in here. So right now, we've been meeting with your students.
And you can just click through, okay?
Click here, okay. So, right now, we've met with them, obviously, we said scheduling. They need to register for the ACT or the SAT. Visit, and we've been getting emails from the colleges that many of them are opening up for visits. It's definitely a great idea to go visit a campus because what they hear from their friends and what they see online sometimes is very different than when they're actually on campus. I mean, there's such a big difference. If you even think of like Penn State and Gettysburg in the middle of Pennsylvania, students that are interested in NYU are not going to be happy out there. Or they go out there and they're like, oh yeah, this could be okay. So definitely visit. Prep for the essay. Now here at Immaculata, the English teachers will give them an assignment to write your essay for the Common App. She'll have all the prompts. And just so you know, on the Common App, we call them prompts. There are 7 questions, and they have to answer one in 650 words or less. And the last prompt is subject or topic of your choice, so they could write about anything. What I find particularly frustrating is they come back in September and they'll say, well, my applications are done, but I just have to write the essay. And I'm like, that's the hardest thing, like the essay. Well, they don't like what they wrote for their English teacher, and that's fine. But if that's the case, then during the summer, they should come up with some really good ideas for their essay. And I've told my students, sometimes you could go back to something you wrote in 9th grade and just, bedazzle it a little, make it more like a 12th grade would write. If it's, topic of your choice, or you switch things around, always now they have all their documents on their Google Doc. It's so much easier to find everything they've written in 4 years. So a good example is Villanova. You will do the Common App if you apply to Villanova and some other schools, but Villanova in particular. They take the Common App. So a student fills out the Common App, they plug in their essay, but guess what? Villanova has another essay. And they'll say, well, what am I going to write about? I'll send it back. Go back in your Google Docs. There is something in there that we can write about. I mean, in every subject, students are asked to write a lot. And if they can't find anything there, then of course they have to start from scratch. But it definitely gives them ideas. And the other reason I tell my students to start their essays in August is because, especially if they're very busy in the fall. Seniors in the fall are like very busy. If they're not playing a sport, they're just, woohoo, I'm a senior and having a lot of fun. It's tough to get bogged down on this in September and October, knowing that most of them will be due November 1st. So I say in August, start thinking about your topic so you have it like just in your head when you're like doing nothing. Think about what you're going to write about. So that's what I call about Common App prepping. Not exactly the whole thing, but definitely know what you're going to write about, because in September they'll want someone to review it, and it takes a while for the teachers. If your child is one that's really going to want a teacher to take a look at it, you know that teacher has a bunch of them, so it would be better to have that done sooner than later. And also seek their counselor with advice and questions. Okay, so to visit, we allow two excused absences for them to go visit colleges. I've never had a situation, I don't know about you, Greg, where we told the student, no, you can't go. You've used up your visit allotment. Most of them have schoolwork, so they can't be away from school anyway a lot. Overnight visits, a lot of athletes do that. I don't, or if they know someone at the school. Lunch in the cafeteria, I mean, it's big. It just really is. I mean, if they come back and we ask them, what did you like about University of Richmond? I'll hear about the cafeteria first. And they also see what the kids look like when they're not, one, it's during the daytime, so it's not like party time, and it's not in the classroom where they have a different demeanor. It's really like a good snapshot of the kids in the cafeteria. Sit in on a lecture. Professors love to do that. They love to have the high school kids in. I don't know why. I did it with one of my kids. I thought it was odd, but yeah, they did it. And interview students and faculty. So a lot of the times, like we talk about the schools where a lot of Immaculata kids go to, they've already talked to some of those kids, like the big schools, Rutgers, again, Penn State, Scranton, Seton Hall. They know at least 10 kids that are there, and they've talked to them about it. But if there's a school that they don't know someone at and they're like curious, we might be able to help find a student that they want to talk to. Typically, they don't really like to do that unless they know the other, because they're still in their high school mentality that they're not going to go talk to someone that's in college that they don't know. The SAT and ACT are entrance exams. You might hear some of your students saying, well, they're optional now. Well, they're optional, but the colleges are still accepting them. And so I say to every student, if you don't take that SAT, there's probably 100 kids that did. As long as it's being offered, the colleges are going to look at it. So unless you feel like your student will bomb the SAT, yeah, then definitely SAT optional. But personally, I would definitely say take the SAT 2 or 3 times and see how you do. I feel that it's generally our students do decent on them. I think they do very well. And why wouldn't you want to put that in your admissions packet? They consider, the SAT is the top one, and the GPA. I mean, those 2 things far outweigh almost everything else unless there's something very significant in your child's resume. I mean, a nationally ranked athlete, went to Africa and built something, but generally they will even say, even in that situation, they're looking at the SAT and the GPA. And if you ever get a chance, and if you ever think about the scattergrams, if you go on Naviance and you find them, it'll show you for Immaculata student, for instance, Seton Hall, the typical SAT or GPA that students have that get accepted there. So that's been helpful for me. Extracurricular activities, very important, also to be considered. And when you meet with your counselor, she or he will show you how to line that up on the Common App. Obviously, the time that they spent the most comes first, or the more significant, or the more award-winning. But that's not to say that you don't put in the things that you didn't win awards, because most students don't. So what the colleges want to see is that you went to school and you became part of the school atmosphere, high school, because what do they want on campus? They want kids that are going to go to campus, find something to do, make friends, and stay there and do their work. Some schools, particularly the Ivy League, for sure, and some of the higher level schools will require an interview. I've also this year, I had students that applied in the health sciences, and they had interviews in occupational and physical therapy. And personal essays, which I would say typically is your Common App essay, but like I said, some of the schools are requiring additional essays. The weight placed on those schools varies, and here's a good example. When my oldest was looking at a school, and we went to Penn State, we're big Penn State fans, and they sat there and they said, all we care about is your GPA and your SAT, and guess what? We want to know what it is at the end of junior year. After that, unless there's something significant in your life, it's the end of the junior year, SAT and GPA. So those big schools, think about it. How do they process 60,000 applications? They have a computer and they have a cutoff. So it's going to be based on the GPA and the SAT, and ACT. The smaller schools will take a little extra look at your application, your child's application for activities and awards, and read the essay. These are the differences between the SAT and the ACT, and quite honestly, they've really narrowed the difference. The SAT over the years has been tried to be more like the ACT. The one thing that is somewhat significant is that there's a science section in the ACT. So it's not to say that only super scientific students should take the ACT. There's scientific passages so that you could read it and understand what you read, and then answer some questions about the ACT. Ooh, did I skip too many? Okay, oh, I want to talk with the coalition. Can you come over here, because I think I went too far. But I want to talk, while he's fixing it, I'll talk about early decision. Oh my. I was talking about the differences between the two. Oh, okay.
Were you here?
Go to past that. No, so go past that one.
I'm just rolling this thing down.
Rolling it, okay.
Or you could use the down arrow, up and down
Okay,
arrow.
thank you. These are the dates for the tests. You know where to find that. If you don't, that could be a question for us later. We only give the SAT here, and so their next one, we just had one in March, which you know, and then our next one will be in October. But obviously, you can take these exams at other colleges, other high schools. Sorry. These are the 3 ways, so this will address your question about coalition. I don't want to scare you like when we were talking about it, because we said it's easier with the Common App. Trust me, we can process any application. So we have coalition ones and Common App ones, and directly to the college. Less and less are happening directly to the college. Georgetown is really one that I know offhand. Even Rutgers used to be directly, but now they are coalition now, aren't they? It's Rutgers coalition. And Penn State used to be direct, now they are Common App school. So I would say, if your child did it on the coalition and it's done, let's go with it. Don't change that up. We'll work with whatever he or she did. And we process it differently, but we haven't had any problems with that. The Common App, like Mr. Arakelian said, you fill it out, you put that essay in that you're going to hear a lot about over the next couple months, and definitely in September, and then you just type in the colleges you want to apply to. And a couple things I want to emphasize. I told you about that credit card part, or waiver, but mostly it's going to be a credit card. Make sure that you ask them, did you put the credit card number in? Because sometimes they think it's done and it's done, like a Google Doc. You know how they are, like it's on, I did it. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to go to submit. The second thing is, and we emphasized it on our college day with our students, with deadlines with these colleges, they do not play around. If it's November 1st, forget November 2nd. Just don't, I told them that because, they're high school students and they think there's something we can do about that. And generally there's nothing we can do about it. So one thing I did for my own kids, I just had like a little, almost like a mini poster, every college due date. And then I put it in order of the due date. And then we checked it off after we did it, just so there was no confusion. The Common App resets on August 1st. So my recommendation is August 1st. So they're sitting there, they're done with summer, waiting to go back to school. It'll take maybe an hour to fill out the Common App without the essay, but all the demographics. They ask you about your parents, they ask you about your siblings and where they all went to college and all that. So they'll fill that out, and then all they have to do is put the essay in when it's ready. The Coalition, same. And the Coalition, you'll find it online, a similar setup as Common App. It's just that it used to be only certain colleges to Coalition, but now they're pretty much all taking both, and you'll know. So say you're interested in Virginia Tech. I'm begging you, go into the apply bar, and it'll say, we take a Coalition, so that you don't spin your wheels looking for it on Common App. That would be like another column in like the little chart that you're making, Coalition or Common App. Most of the time it's both, but some it's one or the other, and I think Virginia Tech in particular is one of them. And Rutgers is definitely Coalition only, or their own. There is no benefit one over the other. The benefit is really to us, but we process all of them. It's just easier for us, but we process them all. We want them to keep going, the momentum going. So we never say, stop, don't put it on the Coalition. If they've done 2 pages on the Coalition, we're like, no, keep on going, that's great. Here's the process, and we're gonna send you, we do a lot of hand holding, so we're gonna get this, then you're gonna get, something in your email, but there are specific steps in this process, and we coax your child, and sometimes you along with it. Like, that's great, you applied, but the next step is to request your transcript. So see here, this is the process. They complete the Common App. They're very important, your SAT scores. We do not send SAT scores. You must request College Board to send the SAT scores. It can be a significant blip in the process because we don't have control over it. And it takes them a while. So if you have something due November 1st, my recommendation is to make sure the College Board has your request in for your scores to be sent around October. Now, some schools will say they'll give you some leeway on that time because they know the counseling offices are busy around November 1st, and the College Board is delayed on sending those scores out because they don't do it. They do it in batches. So if you send a request for the SAT scores to be sent to Penn State, they don't automatically send it. They do it in a batch, and that batch could be next week. So if it's due tomorrow, we may have a problem. So I always said 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks before the due date, try to get your SATs in. Now, there are some students that are still taking SATs in October. What they can do is explain to the college, I'm taking it another time. And most schools I have found have been pretty good about it, especially this year because of the nonsense that was going on with the SATs. But if you can get them, I would send them, like something not to worry about. After they submit their SATs, like I said, they have to do it. Then they're going to come to the guidance office and request their transcripts. It's another very important step. There's a piece of paper, it's in guidance, they just write their name down and where they want their transcripts to be sent, and it's a $5. If they don't have the money, we don't hold anything up. We're still gonna process it, and they'll have like a little account with us, because we wanna get it out. So they're gonna fill out the form, and they're gonna give it to the secretary, and she gives it to us, then we send out their admissions materials. So it's that process where the student is doing his application, we send out transcripts and recommendation letters on Naviance, and College Board sends the scores, or ACT, that's a different service. See where it even says here, generally 2 weeks prior to the deadline. Another point, you're gonna find a lot of schools, the application is due like January 1st. Well, think about what a school looks like 2 weeks before January 1st. Like we're closed, or we're close to closing, or a snowstorm happens. The January 1st, and we've gotten things out, but the January 1st and all those the December deadlines, we really want them to start getting that in by November, just to make sure, like to avoid the stress of, oh my gosh, there's a snowstorm coming tomorrow. How are we going to get these out? I mean, we get them out, but it would be better for all of us if we didn't have that. And those January 1st, and school's closed, so think about it too. Oh, it's January 1st, I'm going to do it December 28th. Well, how are you going to get your transcript out? Because our school's closed. So it's something to keep in mind. Early decision, early action, regular rolling. Early decision means if you get accepted, you are going there. Many athletes have the early decision. It's part of their recruiting process. So they fill it, but other people do early decision. Some students will do it for a reach school because they feel that they have an advantage. Because think about it, a college, to get higher in their rankings, has to have a higher yield. In other words, the kids that get accepted actually attend. It's part of their yield. So an early decision candidate is 100%. So they know they're getting that kid if they accept him. But that doesn't mean they're going to take everybody. You'll see kids, and you can only ever do this once. There's only one college you're allowed to apply early decision, because they don't want you to apply to multiple, because if they accept you, the deal is you're going to go there. And they don't care about money, you're there, you're going. I sign off on it, the counselors sign off on it, the parents sign off on it, and the student, that they understand if they get accepted, they're going. Early action is they apply early, generally it's November 1st, November 15th. If they get in, they have a choice whether they're gonna go or not. The only real advantage is that they hear about by Christmas if they've gotten in. For most schools, if you don't get in an early action, they throw you in the regular pool. So they'll look at you again when the rest of the kids get their applications in. Some schools, Boston College is one of them, it used to be if you don't get in early action, you're out. So some kids would wait until regular decision to apply to that school. But you need to look at that to see where your school is in that regard. But quite honestly, most of them are, if you don't get denied from early action, you get put into the regular pool. Regular decision is the old-fashioned way. It's generally January 15th, February 15th. You apply, they wait till they get all their applications, and then they decide who they're going to take. Rolling decision is, and you're going to find the big schools have this, and a lot of southern schools have it. You send your application in, it's either a yes or a no. So once they get their class of 10,000 freshmen, they're not taking anybody else. The advantage there is if you are not that strong of a student, you might want to get in there sooner before they see everyone else's. Right? Because think about it, like, you know, you're a decent, not a terrible candidate, but a decent candidate, you may get in. They might put you on the wait list, but generally it's a yes or no with rolling. And we have a lot of, like Tennessee's a big one for that one. I don't know any offhand really with rolling. What do parents need to do? Review the materials tonight and in the folder that the students got for at our college day. The parent brag sheet, which honestly I love, please fill it out. It really, I call it bedazzling, the recommendation letter. There's things in there. And sometimes I enjoy reading them because they're so nice. I mean, like, we like your kids, but then when mom says like all these fabulous things, even that they do at home, it's wonderful. Plan the visits, the college visits, keep up with the deadlines for testing, applications, and scholarships. Communicate with the counselors, and encourage your child to seek answers themselves regarding questions relating to their applications. Oh, make an appointment to see your guidance counselor, and we meet with parents too. This is what parents should not do, but we don't judge. Fill out their applications, write their essays. Oh, I did read that once. I watched this whole web thing about these admissions officers, and they're talking about how there's like certain clues that a parent wrote it. Like, they kind of know our generation and how we write in our punctuation, and we put extra spaces after certain commas that these kids don't do because they're texting. This is what they said. Complete the paperwork for transcripts or scholarships, and you should make it their process. Actually, once they get going on it, after they do their first one, it is a well-oiled machine. They do one application, it's like the rest are nothing. They get through it. In our last year, 87 went on to four-year colleges, 11% went to two-year. They average applications are 8. I say 8 to 10 applications is probably about right. 2 to 4 reaches and 2 to 4 safeties and everything else in between. Our median GPA was a 3.58, and the scholarship dollars was 26.8 million. Students should register, visit the colleges. That essay, I wish they were doing the essay. And you know, guilty as charged. It's not like my kids did it, but I mean, I wish they, you know, August is really a good time to do that. Seek counselor often for advice and questions. Oh, I think we did this one. We did all this. Sorry. See? All right, let's make sure I got everything. Please join us, not do. That's it. So, do you have questions? Oh, wait, here comes the microphone man. Does anyone have a question? And don't be shy.
Should they make the essays like specific to each college that they're applying to?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Should they make like the essay on the Common App
Yeah.
like specific to the
No.
college that they're, it could just be the same essay on every
No,
one?
because because there's really only one essay that they're gonna write, and you really can only have one Common App account. So once that essay's in, that's the essay. But different schools, like I said, Villanova, that's the one. It said, describe why you should be at Villanova, it's something like that. Well then, yeah. Yeah. Now-
Colleges ask for like additional things.
Right. So like, even like I said, Georgetown has its own application. So yeah, on there, they're gonna have that's gonna definitely, yeah, so you could be specific about it.
So the Common App though, like there's nothing that makes it, I don't know, like you look different, like because it
No.
goes to every, okay.
No, in fact, if you want to change it, it's a big issue because you have to create a whole new account and forget about the old account.
All right.
That stays, but like I said, some of the schools do have like additional questions, and that will make that application different than the other ones.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to note that I think on your list of SAT dates, it's missing the June one. There is a June SAT. It's not shown.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my son unfortunately had to quarantine through the March one, so I had to roll him into
Right.
that one.
So you'll May and then June, and then there'll be one in the summer. We don't have that one listed probably either.
And also, just go on collegeboard.org or act.org, because with all the COVID cancellations of SATs, sometimes they have a new date with different schools. So you can go on act.org or collegeboard.org, and they'll have the updated dates.
I have a question about applying. So when you do the app, does it matter when you send in your SATs or when you send in your transcript? Like, can your SAT scores get there before you apply?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I do feel, I say send them right away. If you're happy with your scores, I send them. I mean, just because you don't want it to be in a situation where they didn't get a
Right.
score.
And transcripts as
The
well?
transcripts we can't send until you've applied.
Okay.
Are you guys going to touch on the FAFSA forms and what needs to be done with those and when they're supposed to be done by?
The FAFSA? Okay. I heard that. FAFSA is due October 1st. That's the financial aid form for government aid. And we do have, we didn't have it this year, financial aid night. We didn't have it this year, but we will have, all things going well.
Bring in a speaker.
We bring in a speaker that goes through the FAFSA. So the FAFSA, just so you know, it's a form that is run by or administered by the government, which is actually the parents do fill out because it asks for tax return information. And then it basically estimates how much aid you can expect. And then the colleges do use it to award aid, sometimes. But if you're looking for aid, the first thing they're going to say is, where's your FAFSA? So if you think you're going to be doing that, then you should get the FAFSA. It opens October 1st.
For the kids that are taking, they have AP classes and they're taking the AP exams, how does that work? Because I know the colleges that Lillian's looking at accept those as credit. Like, does that get sent with their transcript? How does that work?
Okay, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't hear you.
She wants to know, what do they do with the AP? The AP you send with your SATs. You send your AP
Yes.
scores.
So that's
From
your,
College Board, it's administered through College Board.
oh, so it's sent,
You go on
okay,
College Board, that already sent.
okay, that's all I
Yeah.
want to know. All right, thank you.
I mean, if there's anything like really important, I would say, is that the deadlines are and giving yourself time to meet the deadlines, because it gets very hot when deadlines are approaching. So it's good to know what they are and to know what they need. And the other thing is, and Greg talked about it, those requirements. We really need you, if your child is really set on a certain college or a certain couple colleges, please look on their website to see what courses they require. That language thing could get sticky because most of our kids, we only require 2 years. Most of our kids do take the 3 years. Not too many do the 4-year. So, right? I mean, do you feel the same way? But if you're set on Gettysburg, you can come back and change your course request because you want to take a 4th year of Spanish. But it is rare, just so you know. The 4 years is a rarity. They recommend 3 years for a lot of schools. Anything else?
With the AP exams, can they take that more than once?
I'm sorry.
For the AP exams, do they take those more than once or just one time?
An AP only take it once.
One time.
Yeah.
And I would, one other thing, if you have a real specific question, sometimes I'll get a call from a parent, should my student be taking AP biology for a college? And, I'll say, well, is your child going to major in biology? That's an obvious answer. Sometimes it gets a little sticky, and I'll say, if they're a real specific question, call the Office of Admissions.
Yeah.
And speak to an admissions counselor and say, my student's doing their senior schedule now. Do you think it would be beneficial to take this class? Or even the 4th year of a language. My daughter or son's going to be a math major. Do I really need that 4th year? And they'll be better able to guide you in that.
I can't. Wait, I can't hear you.
Most of the schools that I just know from my experience, they tell you to take AP, that you must take an AP science, you need to take another math if you're doing a medical kind
Yes,
of
they
track.
certainly would
They tell
prefer
you right
to
on their
do that.
website.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they certainly would prefer you to do it. But I will say also, if you are majoring in biology, most likely they will not take your they'll accept your AP credits for elective. You're gonna take biology again. It's not gonna replace anything. And I found that, that mostly that's what happens. They use it for elective credit. So tomorrow, we're going to send those forms that Mr. Kelly put up there are really helpful. It's kind of I call them the cheat sheets. Like you can almost skip through the whole thing. Those forms really do tell you what you need to do. And if there's something that you don't remember or we went too fast, we love to talk about it. So just, send us an email, set up a conference. I think it's also important that your child really does take it seriously making a college list. I think that is a very serious, because they talk about it and they talk to each other about it, but when we sit down with them and they have 2 schools, it's very hard to work with. But the overlap thing does help in that regard. Like if they'll say, oh, I really love Penn State. Well, we're not only gonna apply to Penn State. Like that's not how the system works. We need like 8. So the overlap helps, and then we'll do some small if they're really not sure, but we definitely need more than 3 colleges. I mean, unless it's really something they're set on. I've had some of those, definitely Rutgers kids and Seton Hall kids. They've always wanted to go there. That's where that's their mind's in it. But then you got to be pretty sure that's going to be the school that you're going to get in. And that's the unknown. Like we could do everything, and then we don't know what happens. I found that this year it was a little harder. Do you agree? A little harder this year? I was surprised. I thought the colleges were going to be like, woohoo, come on in. Like we're open for business. And it was quite the opposite. It was the opposite. I mean, schools that they got harder, and I wonder if it really was because some of the kids that deferred are coming in as freshmen, and then they're competing with this year's incoming freshmen. Okay, great. Well, that was fun. Do you have any other questions? We're good.
Thank you.
I'm just going to recommend anyone who touched the microphone, there's hand sanitizer available here on the right-hand side of the theater. Please use some hand sanitizer as you leave. Thank you.